Let's kick off the 2024 acronyms. We have our runner-ups. Stan, we start off with you. What is your acronym for the new year?
Mine is Zebra. And Tim is going to lag me this year. You're going to hear from Tim in just a second.
I did last year.
So here, I want to start with Z for Zoom. I think this stock is cheap. We've talked about it a little bit. A third of its market cap is in cash, no debt. The company is very profitable. I think they have still a very interesting product. I think it probably gets taken out by a larger platform company. That one's interesting to me. EA, or Electronic Arts. Also, their largest competitor, Activision, taken out by Microsoft. I think this is really interesting content. I think it's a cheap stock. And I also think that this could be some part of some sort of combination with a larger media company or a tech platform company. The other one, Baba, I'll let Tim really speak to this because, again, I don't know. It seems like a Dan Niles name. It seems like a Tim name. There's a lot of things going on over there, and I do think the sentiment is really bad. Rivian, I think they have enough cash to work this thing out, to get through EV winter, which I think we are going to be in for a while. But I think there are going to be other competitors to Tesla here, and I think they're doing okay right now. They are losing a lot of money, but think back to Tesla 10 years ago. I'd ask you to do that. And lastly, AMAT, this is Applied Materials. I think that as the AI story broadens out a little bit, reshoring, a whole host of other things, I think AMAT benefits from that great balance sheet and a cheap stock here. So AMAT's interesting to me. That's Zebra.
Could be running with the harem.
Zebra, as opposed to several zebras.
Several zebras.
Called the harem.
Okay, you say that like you knew it, like right off the top of your head.
The guy Googled it in the break.
I asked the question, and you gave me the answer.
Tim, you're up with your 2024 acronym.
Okay, my acronym for 24 is BICEP. And these are companies that are going to flex some muscle after being losers, frankly. 3 of the 5 have been colossal losers, but I'll start with Baba. So Dan and I have had a couple overlaps over the last couple of years, and this is one where, again, valuation at 7.5 times, it's not even what you're talking about, but it's absurdly cheap. It's $85 billion of $185 billion in market cap in cash. It's a story where they are still growing 18% a year, and I think there's so much negativity around China. It's not about the China macro that's going to move this story. The I in BICEP is the IDEVO International ETF. I'm an advisor to this ETF, full disclosure, but it's international blue chip companies that are paying and growing dividend levels, covered call strategy, and I think international has been a loser over the last few years, and I think mean reversion says that and a weaker dollar and a weaker Fed is good for international. The C in BICEP is
Chevron.
Sorry, I lost my notes here. And I actually am emphatic about it. I think the oil space, especially Chevron, is probably the bluest of the blue chips in the space, breaks even at $48 oil on their div. I think the Hess acquisition means they have exposure to probably the sexiest growth asset in production in oil. Estee Lauder, this is also an iconic brand. This is a company that I think on valuation relative to itself, it's actually now really kind of interesting. It trades at around 25 times. Again, some of this just goes back to China. We know about the weakness there. We kind of know what's going on in discretionary. I actually think their demo in the U.S. is changing. It's getting younger. I think there's an exciting space, as we've seen in cosmetics, even during difficult discretionary. This is one part of the consumer that continues to spend. And PayPal. Again, this is another loser that happens to be a leader in its sector. All these companies I've mentioned, I think, are leaders. PayPal, we know what's been going on. We know that there's plenty of competition. We know there's been some question about really just how strong that customer base is. We also know that there's been some management changes. I think there's been a lot that's been worked through here. I think there's a valuation that's very interesting. And again, they are a dominant player in payments that I think actually has room to shine.
All right. So again, Tim with BICEP, Dan with Zebra. The rest of these guys will have their acronyms later this week.